Welcome to the Probate Realtor Show, your one source for selling and buying real estate through trust and probate. Hear directly from the best attorneys and trusted advisors on how executors and administrators navigate the probate process in and out of court. Being a personal representative or successor trustee can be a daunting task, and often beneficiaries don't have a clear plan. Let us help you make the right decision for your clients, your family, and your legacy. And now, here's your host, the probate realtor himself, Matias Baker Mazzucci.
Welcome, everybody, to another very exciting episode of our show. Today, we are talking to Jen Sawday of TLD Law. She's a partner. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. She practices estate planning, probate, and trust administration, which is exactly what our show is about. So we're going to delve right into it, and we're going to be talking about some of the misconceptions. Since you deal directly with the clients who are interested in doing estate planning, I guess we'll start from the beginning. What are some of the misconceptions that you have run into with people who either approach you or they don't approach you and they think, you know what, I don't need to reach out because this is not something important?
The first one is everyone thinks, number one, they don't need it. And number two, it costs too much.
Right.
Okay. And they think it's $5,000 to $10,000 to draw up the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be if you get in front of the wrong attorney or you have multiple millions of dollars.
Right.
But most of us are not charging those kinds of prices.
Right. That makes
sense.
sense.
And then a lot of people say, I'm not going to pass away, so I don't need it. But that's not up to us to make that call because we just don't know.
That is very true. That is very true. That makes total sense. Now, basically, when somebody owns a property in California, pretty much, chances are that if they're in their own name and they pass away, it will go through probate because of the value of the property if they don't have a trust or an entity that holds. Are you finding it that homeowners have an easier time understanding the importance of estate planning?
No.
Okay.
But homeowners with young children often see the value of estate planning.
Right.
And older homeowners over the age of 50 often see the value.
Right.
But ordinary homeowners who don't have young kids or who haven't started a family and are just living their best life don't think it's important.
Yes, that makes total sense. Now, you brought minor children into the picture, which is one of the very important things. I mean, guardianship is something that people often overlook. That is a part of estate planning. So can you help us essentially break down what are the components of a full, complete estate plan?
Okay, so estate planning means having a trust, will, power of attorney, and a healthcare directive. If you have young children, you need to nominate guardians of the person. And we do that in California in the wills. That's the best document to do it. And guardianship of the person means if you passed away, who grabs those babies and where do they sleep at night?
Right.
If you have a baby, you already know who favorite grandma is. Right. We want to make it easy for favorite grandma, favorite aunt, favorite whoever to come rushing in and say, oh my God, something bad happened to your mommy. Grab that baby and off they go. It eliminates the fight. So we have guardianship of the person who has custody. And then we have who's going to manage the money. That person is going to be the trustee. They don't have to be the same. They often are, but they don't have to be. And so we don't want, when I talk about estate planning, we don't want to make the situation worse. It's already bad enough that mommy and daddy have died and that we have a baby here who's an orphan. We want to make it better. We don't want to make it worse. We don't want the grandmas to come or the aunts to come and start fighting and say, I'm the favorite. No, I'm the favorite. We want to take care of those babies. And the beauty is when you're mom and dad, you already know the answer. You have to just put it in writing.
That's great. That makes total sense. Now let's talk about the other components that you mentioned. So often there is a misconception between a trust and a will. People say, oh, I have a will, then I don't need a trust, et cetera, et cetera. Now in this show, we've talked about pour over wills. We've really talked in depth about the components. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about actually is when people say, I have a will, I'm okay. I went online and I did legal Zoom and I got myself a will and we're all good.
I mean, a will is great. A will just makes probate easier.
Right.
It just makes it easier for me to get paid. You don't want a happy attorney. Okay, that's the last place you want me. You want to make it easy for the family.
Right.
If you don't own a home, you can do a will just in case you run into a large sum of money.
Right.
And if you don't own a home, you can have your bank account, then your life insurance can have beneficiary.
Right.
Those people will collect the money, put it in a pocket, and go home.
Mhm.
The will probably would never be used because everything has the place to go.
Right.
So if we meet with a person that is not a homeowner and doesn't have young children, we might just decide that a will is appropriate
Right.
with the promise that we're not going to use it.
Mm.
But let's say you get hit by a FedEx truck and a big
Mhm.
payout is coming. The will would be nice to say if that payout comes, who gets the money.
Right.
But if you have 100,000 in the bank and you get a pension, that bank account can have a beneficiary. And if you are never going to buy property, maybe you don't need a trust.
Mhm.
So if you have a will that you did years ago, back in the 80s or 90s, it'll just make probate easier. It will
Right.
waive bond. It will say who the executor is and who gets the
Mhm.
money. It makes my job easier.
Right.
But that's it. We don't want that. So when you meet with an attorney now, we have a duty to tell you what's best.
Of
So I
course.
often advise people to set up a trust or do some estate planning. That's usually what's best. What's best is not for me to make the money.
Thank you very much for explaining that. I really like that. I've had a lot of explanations about this, and you actually did a fantastic job at giving us an idea of the difference, and exactly how it works. Now, you mentioned something. You also talked about the healthcare directive.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed incapacitation, but that's something that also is part of an estate plan. Now, as we dissect it, so tell us a little bit about the healthcare directive and why it is that important.
So with the healthcare directive, it's usually effective when your treating physician decides that you can't make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be incapacitated. You
Right.
might be in surgery. You might be badly injured. You might have a moment there where the doctor has to talk to someone outside the family to decide
Right.
on something for your care. And it
Mhm.
might just be a blip. Powers of attorney, you need to be certified incapacitated for most of them to work. That's different. We usually
Right.
don't come back from that. But let's say you're having a baby or you got into a bad car accident, you're going to recover, but somebody needs to make a call about a certain type of treatment or procedure.
Mhm.
So that's what we do in the healthcare directive. It's not a guarantee that it will be your spouse.
Mhm.
Sometimes your spouse doesn't have the same last name as you. So you might run into a bad nurse on a bad day in the hospital and say, well, who the hell are you?
Right.
And you might be a same-sex couple, and you might run into a nurse that's very uncomfortable with that. You say,
Mhm.
well, I don't understand. You don't have a healthcare directive. I'm not comfortable having you come in. And so now you've got a battle outside the hospital room. So if you
Right.
have a healthcare directive, you're eliminating that battle. And you're also eliminating the wrong person from coming in. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. If you get hit by a truck, you already know who should come in. Why can't you just put it in writing? You already know. You
Right.
know if you have 5 kids, who's the best one.
Yeah.
And why can't you just put it in order?
Yeah. That makes total
I
sense.
mean, it's not rocket science. So we just need to take what's in your head because you think about this and just put it on paper.
Yep. That makes total sense. Now, you mentioned, obviously the healthcare directive, as we discussed, and the possibility, of having like a brief moment, and then you touched upon the power of attorney, which is something actually I wanted to ask you about. When are powers of attorney appropriate, and why are they often part of the estate plan package?
Well, when you buy a car, the DMV, so let's say you buy a brand new car, right? Your dream car, you get a Tesla or a Mercedes, and you go to the dealership and you go to the finance guy's office and you sign papers. Did
Mhm.
you know that you sign a power of attorney there? So the finance guy can go to the DMV to register the car in your name? Did you know
Mm.
that?
No, I did not. So that's like a
Okay, so that's
specific
what a
power of
power of
attorney, right?
attorney is. It's authorizing someone to act for you for a transaction.
Uh,
Okay, so we sign them all the time without knowing what we're doing.
mm,
We do it all the time, sometimes with buying homes, with buying cars, and other transactions, especially with the IRS and with taxes. You might sign one, or someone may say to you, I need one so I can do it for you.
right.
Because the guy at the dealership knows how to go to the DMV electronically and get that car in your name. We do not
Mhm.
know how. So
Right.
you sign it for him. When I have clients sign a power of attorney, there are things that need to be managed in case you get hit by a truck.
Mhm.
You got hit by a truck, someone needs to call my boss to tell them I'm not coming in, right?
Right.
If someone needs to call my disability insurance or call the state to say I need to get a paycheck or get a claim on insurance. And then someone may need to call my tax person to say Jennifer can't file her taxes this year. We need to get an extension.
Right.
So we put together a power of attorney that's comprehensive, just in case we need it. But when we talk about financial management, you have things in a trust, your home and bank account. The power of attorney deals with other finances that are not part of the trust. Documents don't go this way. So if you have your home in the trust and we need to sell it to put me in a nursing home, only the trustee can sell it. We cannot use the power of attorney to sell the home with the assets in the trust, but you need both done. So let's say the trustee sells my home and now the trustee needs to file taxes. They have to use the power of attorney to handle the taxes. So let's say I get a parking ticket, and so someone has to call the city to negotiate the ticket. That's what we use the power of attorney for. It's for the little thing. So when we talk about estate planning, we talk about doing a will, trust, power of attorney, and then the healthcare directive. 3 of those documents deal with finances. Ideally, the financial decision maker for all 3 should touch. Same person first, the same person second, and the same person third. So they can take care of everything. For healthcare, you can decide it could be anybody. So I often recommend that people put down who they want right now.
Right.
And if you're older and you name someone that's your age, then we ought to name someone number 3 or 4 a generation younger, just in case.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you for sharing that. That made total sense. Let me ask you something. You mentioned it, that we talked about the activation of the trust. Like people, they have a document, they put it in the closet, and then forget about it. In this show, in other episodes, we talked about the importance of communicating. At least let your successor trustee know that you've nominated them successor trustee. Let them know what the documents are. But there's something that is often overlooked, which is the administration process of the trust, because there are statutory notices that may have to be given, et cetera, depending on the circumstances, obviously. So let's talk about trust administration, and let's talk about how you are able to assist your clients essentially after they die, and the families that are left behind. How does that process work?
Okay. Well, I need a death certificate first.
Of course.
Okay. And they do take a while now because of COVID still. So in some counties, it takes 2 weeks to 8 weeks. So when clients call and they say, my mom died yesterday, I don't have to see you for a while.
Right.
Your job is to lay your mother to rest, have the service, and do what you think is appropriate for the family. So when the death certificate does come in, then we can have our meeting. So we do have a little bit of time. So when I get the callers that are frantic, we slow them down and focus them on the right thing. Family's what matters first.
Right.
When the death certificate comes in, we can begin the administration. We can activate the trust.
Right.
So California requires, if it's the California trust, that we give notice to everyone that's named in the document and all the children, even if they're not included. We send out a special notice that the code requires that limits the contest period of the trust to 120 days. If you don't send out the notice, the contest period is a little bit unlimited. So we like to send it out quickly.
Right.
And then let that 120-day period pass. So we send out the notice, and then we get a new taxpayer number for the trust, because Social Security numbers pass away with you. They go to the grave with you.
Right.
So we get a new Social Security number called an EIN from the IRS for you. And then we prepare a document that shows that the successor trustee is now the current trustee because the person who set it up died. That's called a certificate or a certification of trust. And that's what we give to the banks. And then if the trust owns real estate or real property, we record against the property an affidavit of death of trustee. Because we want to put notice that the homeowner has died.
Right.
We don't want someone to pretend to be the homeowner to sign a deed or knock on the door and get solar panels on the property or do something funny while we're waiting. We want to put out to the universe that this person's no longer here. This person's the trustee.
Yeah.
And then the assessor has a requirement that we send a special form. It's called a death of real property owner. So every time an owner of a property dies, the trustee is required to send in this form. So all of those things are part of the trust administration activation packet.
Mm-hmm.
So clients where I've set up the trust and then they have died, the trustee can come in after and sit with me for an hour at no charge, and I will explain what I think needs to be done. And then they can decide to hire me to help them, or they can go on their own. So a lot of people hire help, and as we should, who
Right.
changes, the oil in my car, who cuts my hair, all of those things. I don't do it myself. We pay.
Right.
And so we use the trust money to pay for the attorney. I can usually gauge the cost of the administration. It's not a percentage. It's a flat fee based on the work that I need to do. Some clients pay about 1,000, some pay about 1,500, and if I see a fight coming, it might be 5,000 to 10,000 or more.
Right.
I'm too busy to mind these cases for money. I mean, I've got hundreds of clients, and I sign up about 200 or 300 a year. I don't have time to say, oh, your mom died, there's $1 million in the bank and overbill. I just do exactly what you need to send you home. And then you call me if you run into a problem, or you call me when you're ready to distribute, and then we talk about options. So trust administration can be a flat fee, or it can be by the hour, but it varies. So that's why I don't have a checklist. That's why I don't have the same letter. Because at the end of the day, when someone passes away, we may not have a home. We may not have all the same problems. So if I do a checklist that says all 30 things and only 3 things apply, it gets confusing. So I prefer to talk to you in person or on Zoom and outline what I think needs to be done. But I need to see the trust. I need confirmation that no amendments have been made after me. And then we need a death certificate. I need proof of death.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So that's how you activate it. It's okay to call Jennifer first and just let her know of the loss. But then Jennifer will be like, okay, let's get that death certificate, because obviously we know there's fraud, identity theft, or like all those things. So better be cautious. Let's talk about your journey. This is one of the things that our listeners love to learn, how you made it to where you are today. And I guess one of the questions that I love to ask is, did you want to be an attorney when you were a little kid?
The answer to that is no. I wanted to be in politics.
Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, tell me what spurred that? What do you remember? What was the reason why you wanted to be in politics?
Now I am not interested at all in being in politics. I have no desire to run for office because it's a hot mess. But I went to school and got degrees in public administration. That's the meaning for becoming a politician, getting a bachelor's and master's and something like that to work for the government. And then my first job was for a government company called the Aerospace Corporation. And we provided services to the Air Force. It was a lot of engineering, technical work. So I worked there for about 9 years before I went to law school.
Oh, nice.
I decided that I needed to move up in the world, so I went back and got my law school degree. I did not fall into estate planning until my dad died.
Oh, okay.
He died when I was in law school.
Oh.
So I was 28 years old and he was 54, and he died suddenly from a heart attack. My mother had died when she was 46 and I was 21.
Oh, wow.
So having lost my mom at an early age, I thought I was safe from losing another parent forever for the most part.
Right.
So we all managed to work our way through losing my mother, myself and my brother and my father, and we did fine. And then he died suddenly. When my dad died, he didn't have a trust. And I didn't know enough then to say, Dad, you should set up a trust. I just didn't know because I was a second-year student and I had to open probate. So I had to call my father's tax person and say, who do you recommend? I found an attorney, visited the attorney's office, and this was back in 2001 when we were not using email that much. We were meeting in person almost every month to go through the process, and I saw it unfold. So after I finished law school, estate planning and setting up a trust became so important to me. So as the daughter that's been there, I want to yell, preach, and tell everyone, just set up the trust. Just do it. Just pay the money and get it done. And I've spent the rest of my life now at this point educating and joining podcasts and just getting that across. And so when I talk to people like you, they're not afraid of you, but they're afraid of me. People are afraid. They go, I don't want to see Jennifer. It's going to cost too much money. She's going to charge me for a consult. She's going to do this. She's going to nickel and dime me. And it's like, maybe, but the answer is no, I'm not going to. You can meet with me for free. I don't charge a consultation fee to see anybody. You come in and see me. Maybe it's 10 minutes or maybe it's an hour. I can tell you if I can help you. I will quote the fee. Most of my clients pay a fixed fee and they're very happy. So that little old lady who doesn't own anything might pay $750 to do what she needs. The single lady who has been divorced or is a widow and just owns one home might pay about $1,500 to $1,800. Then the married couple might pay about $2,500 to $3,000. It's doable. You can make payment plans. You can put it on your credit card. You can pay me. And when you get it done, and then you put it in that book like you talked about, and then you put it in the bookshelf in the den, and you don't hide it, and then you tell the kids where they can find it. So that when something does happen, and the police officer comes into the home, and they look and they tear the house apart, they know exactly what they're looking for. Yeah. So when my dad had died, the officer ran in the home, broke through the window, and found my name on the bulletin board. I mean, this was 2001. I mean, and it was just said, you know, daughter, Jennifer, and they called me at home at 10:30 at night, said, we found your father, you need to come identify his body, right? Those books are not meant to be hidden. So the police officers and the ambulance and the people that come, they know what they're looking for. I don't want you to put it in the closet. I want you to put it in the bookshelf. I want people to find it. I want you to put the attorney business card or the names of your kids on the refrigerator. I want you to do what my dad did. Otherwise, he would have been dead for a couple of weeks until they found me. So all of this stuff in this universe has to come together. So because I don't have parents and I had to go through probate, and I paid a lot of money for attorney fees back then, it was about $15,000. I've been on a mission since then to set up a trust. Or if I have to open probate, I do it as quickly as fast as possible and sit with the client and walk my way through as much as I can.
This is a very inspiring story. Thank you for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, there's something I always end my shows in a specific way, which is I want you to pick a number between 1 and 30, and I will ask you a random question.
Okay, let's start with 25.
25.
Oh, I'm not liking it. I don't know what it's going to be.
It's okay. What do you have handy at your bedside?
Well, I have my water, and I have my phone, and I have my sleep mask.
There you go.
And I have books that I'm going to be reading.
All right. Well, you open the door.
And that's the same thing that's at your bedside too, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I don't put the water next to my bed anymore. I used to. I have 4 little kids, so glasses have to be out of reach a lot of the times because my kids will go.
You have 4 kids?
I have 4 little kids under the age of 8, and they go around and they take everything. So they go, they pick up water and drink it and all of those things. So I hide everything. And before I had kids, Jen, I used to be very neat, a neat freak. And you have to see my bedroom now is still neat, but the rest of the house, it's like a war zone. And even though, you know, my wife and I, we stay active, we have people who help us to clean and everything, but it's still very difficult to manage.
To enjoy those kids. Because the minute they turn 15, you will never see them again.
Oh, I know. People tell me that, you know, it's the fact that I change a lot of poopy diapers now, so it's hard to imagine of where they're going to be independent.
You're going to miss it so much because my younger daughter is 15 and my older one's 19. And so now we spend Saturday night home alone, my husband and I.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
We spend so much time preparing for baby. We have showers, we read books, we talk, we complain, but we don't prepare for when they depart. And they depart as soon as they can drive.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
that is very true. That's a good observation.
I'm on a mission now, on top of this probate stuff, to tell all my young parents to just enjoy it.
Thank you for that. And it's very good advice. One more thing before I let you go, I want to, you know, we're going to have your contact information in our show notes if people need to get a hold of you. But for those who are just listening to the show, what is the best way to reach you?
It's to call the office. I mean, we do have a lot of staff here. There's 60 people that work here at the firm. Wow. We do have an intake process that we want clients to follow. I can't help everyone.
Of course.
So be mindful of that. And don't get mad because we run out of space, or I want to help people that are local to me. So
Yeah.
when you call me and you say I have a lot of questions, my trust needs to be reviewed, and you live far away, in Sacramento, I'm in Long Beach, you have to find a Jennifer that's near you.
Right.
That's the thing. There's plenty of us all over, and all of us want to help you. So I like to serve people that live in LA and Orange County. And those are the probates that I have clients with is in LA and Orange County. So I think we need to be mindful. And then I sit in the Long Beach office. Do you want me to help you? You have to come see me. I don't like doing things remotely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit older. I service the older generation. For those that are willing to drive to the office to come sit with me with their papers, they get a lot more out of it. There are attorneys here at the firm that will do Zoom to do things by correspondence, but I'm not that girl.
That makes sense. So reaching out to the firm is the best way to, go through the intake process. And then, when they get a hold of you through the firm, you'll know whether you can help them or if there's somebody else in the firm. As you said, it's a large firm. Jennifer, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for being a crusader for the right things. That's one of the reasons that this show was started. It's because a lot of people were asking questions. I sell real estate in trust and probate, that go into trust and probate. And a lot of people would look at me and reach out to me and ask me all sorts of questions. And I'm like, you know what, instead of just answering myself, which I shouldn't anyway, because I'm not an attorney, I kind of put a platform like this together. So I'm really grateful for you explaining the way you did, because there's a lot of areas in LA, as you know, that are greatly underserved. So hopefully this will reach them. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody who has joined us, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Probate Realtor Show. Find more episodes and interact with us at probaterealtor.la. That's probaterealtor.la. Listen, ask questions, and get results. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The Probate Realtor Matias Baker Mazzucci is a licensed real estate broker in California, DRE number 020547763. Any legal information provided is for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. Contact an attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal issue or problem. We make no guarantees as to the accuracy of any information. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.